A happy Saturday, as always. And this week the letter is I, of course, which is a surprisingly not terribly common initial name or initial letter in games. So we're gonna try what's it called Innsmouth something. Hold on. What are we called again? Okay, the Innsmouth case or Innsmouth case, depending on how you want to say the word. H.P. Lovecraft's-ish kind of story. I don't count naturally. It titles the at the start of most titles doesn't count, so it doesn't count as T. It counts as an I. So yeah. A fairly short game, supposedly, but a bunch of different endings. Strange Rhythms will recognize the problematic beliefs of H.P. Lovecraft. Yes. This game has been produced by a group of people who believe in inclusion and equality. Good job. That's a nice little disclaimer. 35 chapters in total. At the end of the chapter, the screen faces black and green. Save that kind of. Okay. Yeah, well, we'll probably just do one playthrough unless it takes forever, but the last rays of sunshine filter through the blinds of your empty office. The pathetic stench of whiskey and cold cigarette smoke and canned ravioli fills the air. There's nothing wrong with canned ravioli. Canned ravioli isn't terrible, especially like Chef Boyardee. The screeching tires and constant beeping of car horns out there on the street tell you that it's going 8 p.m. People are on their way home finishing their day. You should join them. You can tell it's a British or different type of English game because tires is spelled with an I in American English. But that's okay. You decide, well, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm going to go home. I'm not going to stay at my desk. Clearly. Hold on one second. The music is incredibly loud. You breathe a deep sigh. It may not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You're looking forward to a classic Friday night, watching old mystery series at home in sweatpants and getting drunk on cheap booze. Not a bad Friday. Since the early afternoon, you've been staring at the foreboding bottle of liquor at the other end of the room. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now, nothing stands in the way. So I didn't hear something to door. Well, we're gonna be polite. We're not rude. The door slowly cracks open with a timid creak. The unknown guest pauses. Then, in a breathy and melodic tone, you hear a woman utter, "Hello?" Your insides cramp. You suddenly realize that you haven't cleaned your office at all this year. Yeah, she can see what a slob I am. It's fine. By the light of the desk lamp, you now see more than a silhouette. A breathtaking woman lights up your office. No doubt older than 40, maybe even 50, hard to say. Clad in black, a skin-tight dress culminating in a décolleté that seems to defy the laws of gravity. A smoky eyeshadow, as dark as algae washed ashore. Blonde, coiffed, wavy hair under a dark beret. The faint light of the setting sun catches in the strands of her hair, and you wonder how many heads this woman must have turned during her prime. She's completely different from your usual customers. Nervous bankers with sweat stains under their armpits, convince their wives of something going with the mailman. Every move she makes is calculated grace. Smooth as an eel, she walks towards you and sits down on a corner of your desk. Which is a little bold, yes. Which is a little bold, without asking you first, but as a professional, you're not giving anything away. She seems to want to play the seductive damsel in distress. The quiet, amused voice of your subconscious is pleased that the stranger may be sharing your enthusiasm for film noir cliches. A far louder voice is surprised that this woman seems to think that a sexy pose and revealing clothes could win you over, and both voices agree that they don't like being manipulated. You don't think that the stranger perched on your table is trying to recover from a hard-working day as a lingerie model, and therefore you see no logical reason for her behavior. That makes sense, I love it. When she begins to speak, her voice is smoky and full of promise. What kind of voice does she have? I don't know. I can't do high-pitched voices. My name is Dahlia Marsh. Oh, I'm of course at the Marsh. H.P. Lovecraft. I'm looking for a private investigator. I was told you are one of the best. She's going to be Southern. I don't know how to do a French accent, so. Or I do, I'm just terrible at it, so I'm not going to do it. Of course I thought you was fuck off. You've come to the right place, lady. You've come to the right place, lady. What can I do for it? I got out of Southern sticking. Ugh. You sit back in your chair and fold your hands over your stomach. The woman seems a little irritated that her provocative behavior seems to have no effect on you. She moves from the edge of the desk and sits down on the chair opposite you. Yes, she clears her throat. As she continues to speak, the smoky seductiveness creeps back into her voice. My name is Dahlia. I need your help. Sure, ask for more details. We need jobs. We haven't had jobs. It's about my daughter, Tabitha. She has disappeared. You're pulling out paper and pencil. This is going to be a walk in the park. A walk in the kidnapped Kibbs Park. Well, when did you last see her and where? The woman puts on a fake smile. We live in Innsmouth. It's a small port town north of Arkham. Frown. This is a bit vague. What was your child doing when you last saw her? What hobbies does she have? Oh, you know, kid stuff. They just run around and play with their yo-yos and that sort of thing. I don't think she knows anything about her kid. Dahlia nervously combs her hands through her hair. Does your daughter have any friends? She might be staying with classmates, sports club members, anything like that. Dahlia silently shakes her head. Very strange. You're about to ask if the girl at least had imaginary friends, but you hold back. But her father. What about Tabitha's father? Are you separated? Often children reappear with other family members. Dahlia smiles sadly. My little one can't swim well enough for that yet. The pen remains on the same spot on the notepad. What was that supposed to mean? Because if you've ever read The Horror of Innsmouth, it's that. Let her talk. Dahlia turns her gaze away from you and looks dreamily, no longingly out the window. Her father was a fisherman, most out in the village. Sorry, I forgot to start my voice. A few years ago, he went out to sea but never returned. His boat was washed ashore weeks later. His colleagues told me that he had finally followed the call of the waves. You keep quiet for a moment. Deceased family member is always a sensitive subject. My sincere condolences. She seems calm. Oh, somehow, I always knew that that moment would come. I think my husband is in a better place now. And at some point, I'll join him. You take a closer look at Dahlia's outfit. Judging by her behavior and clothes, you never would have taken her to be a fisherman's wife. Details. I'm going to ask about yo-yos eventually, but what does your look like? She's only 8 and the sweetest girl you can imagine. She's been missing without a trace since last week. None of her schoolmates have seen her, and no one knows where she may have gone. She hands you a photo. Look, this is my little munchkin. It's horrifying. Good heavens, this is supposed to be a joke. Is that really the face of a child or a shoddy photo edit? Are you being filmed as part of a reality TV show? I don't know what year this is supposed to be taking place. So, a bit of stomach acid and the last bite of lunch slowly but surely make their way up into the back of your mouth. We're not going to throw up in front of the lady. We'll if you swallow your puke, you're just going to puke harder in a bit. With narrow eyes, you swallow the bile and involuntarily pull a face. Dahlia continues to look at you hopefully. She obviously didn't notice your little mishap. That was close and could have been unpleasant. Taking your life into your hands, you ask the mother, don't you think there's something strange about your daughter? It's called puberty, Dahlia snarls. You should try it sometime. Also, this has nothing to do with the case. I think it does. Because she's part fish, and she's going to take to the water. No, we're going to persist. Leave the evaluation to a professional. Your child's facial skin is more scaly than that of those poor souls you sometimes see on afternoon talk shows. Besides, she doesn't seem to have a nose. It's a rare genetic defect, I'll bet. Yo-yos, ring. Can you hear that? It's the 90s calling, and they want their outdated toys back. Alright, so I guess we're in like the 2000s? Dahlia blushes. Normally you would find this quite attractive, but the case of the missing girl beckons, and you're utterly unconvinced by the way this woman pretends to be a mother. Something's fishy here. You have a nose for this sort of thing. That's why you became private investigator. Or to be more precise, that's why you took an online detective course for a one-off coffee, provided the necessary qualification. It's time to take your visitor to task. Why did you come to me? Innsmouth is several miles away from here. Why do you want to hire me? I wouldn't even hire myself. That's a great endorsement. Truth. Right now, I just want the truth. You're sticking to your principles. That's exactly what your instructor warned you about. Still, it feels good. Dahlia takes a step back and releases her tightly crossed arms. I already tried loads of other investigators. Anyone who seemed trustworthy, really. But no luck. That's why I'm coming to you. Okay, I don't have any more questions. Okay. Dahlia stretches her neck imperceptibly. No doubt she would like to have a look at your notebook. Your pen hovers over the note she's taken. Missing daughter, dodgy lady. That's it. You've worked with less. Well, of course we're going to accept the case. You nod. A missing persons case. Nothing unusual. The conventional little girl runs away from home after reading her first romance novel. Usually they hide at the edge of the forest in a library. It should be pretty straightforward. We'll see. Before you can say anything, she drops a photo of the child and a roll of bills on your desk. For your expenses. You nod slowly, trying not to drool down the front of your shirt. You haven't seen this much money in ages. You don't have much time to prepare. A quick search reveals that only one bus goes into Innsmouth Shock, and only once a day. Oh, it's kind of exactly like Call Cthulhu and the story, the horror of Innsmouth. A pattern emerges in your research. The few news items related to this little coastal town are all about missing persons. In addition, you find some rather old-fashioned articles that praise the coastal town as a secret holiday destination. The best fish, untouched beach promenade, authentic fishing people are the recurring buzzwords. Dahlia has given you the address at which you're supposed to drop off her daughter as soon as you find her. She also wrote down her phone number on the child's photo. You take another look at the picture before you pack your things. Keep yourself from nightmares. The next morning you travel by bus, so the bus can break down when we get there and we're stuck in the hotel. Still don't know what year, for sure, but your journey begins at a busy bus station. There is supposed to be a bus line that departs from here to Innsmouth. Buses, you think to yourself, are not only an environmentally friendly means of transportation, they're also easy on your wallet. Sadly, the departure boards aren't of much help. New York, Maine, Rhode Island, no trace of Innsmouth as a destination. You wander around for a while until you notice a cleaner eating a sandwich on the side of one of the vending machines. I mean, talk to him. Excuse me, where can I find the bus to Innsmouth? Without letting go of a sandwich, the cleaner points to an abandoned counter in the dingiest corner of the public bus station could be capable of. The man gives you a nod, indicating that anything that can be said has indeed been said. You find the counter is elaborately decorated with cobwebs. It's a bit early for Halloween preparations, but at least someone's made an effort. At the moment, nobody seems to be there. You press your face against the plastic window to peer into the room behind. Hello? Hello? Is anyone in there? I have to go to Innsmouth. No one there. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a bus ticket appears on the counter. Might the trip be free? Sure. Wink. In all likelihood, the ticket was randomly on the counter and you simply hadn't noticed it before. Someone must have paid and just left it there. This is what you tell yourself while you are looking for the departure gate with the ticket in your hand. Where's this bus hiding? In between the polished greyhounds and travelers stowing their luggage, saying goodbye and dropping tiredly into their seats, there's a kind of dumpster. A dumpster with windows and wheels. No, it's an actual bus. It's a bit on the rusty side, and even from a distance you sense the strange smell it emits. Is that sulfur? I'm driving to hell. You're not convinced how this thing is supposed to drive. In its vicinity, everything is noticeably quieter than at the other bus stops. The people getting on show no sign of emotion. Nobody is trying to jump the queue here. Instead, the passengers move past the bus driver at uniform speed, one after the other, shuffling up the creaking steps. Each two-seater bench is occupied by individuals, as if they want to make sure not to come into contact with their fellow passengers. The sign clearly says Innsmouth. No departure times, no stopovers, just Innsmouth. I mean, we'll try and be proper and show our ticket. You hand the driver the ticket, no reaction. At least you can't make out a reaction. The driver is poor, and the shadow of his dusty driver's cap covers almost his entire face. You notice something strange on his neck to gills, but you can't quite make out what it might be. You're standing in the door waiting for an okay, a nod, anything. The sulfur odor has increased. A queue has formed behind you, but no one is pushing or complaining. We'll just get on the bus. You shuffle sideways through the center aisle. You don't remember the bus looking this long from the outside. You are surrounded by shabby two-seater benches, and some are already occupied. One traveler per row. The last bench is free. Looks like the upholstery's torn in some places, though, or has been split open. You can see springs and sharp wire edges, and some sticky liquid seem to have leaked onto the floor. Why didn't you just sit down on one of the free rows? Here in the back, almost everything is occupied. Most of the passengers seem to have purposefully sat down in the aisle seats, blocking off the window seats. Maybe this is the opportunity to get a little closer to the confidence of the visitor. Now, fuck these weirdos. I think we sit by ourselves. You've always been the cool outsider. At least that's what you like to tell yourself. So you take the back row, which you have all for yourself. The ride won't take that long, will it? You wish you had paid a little more attention to the map. The smell of sulfur rises in your nose again. You try to sit down carefully without tearing your clothes on the wire springs of the seat cushions. Suddenly a jolt. You can't balance, and you are pressed to your seat by the most mysterious of all invisible forces, gravity. The bus starts without any warning. Because of the abrupt start, a bunch of yellowed paper has rolled across the dirty floor right in front of your feet. You pick it up, look at that, a newspaper, Innsmouth Illustrated, from April of last year. How useful. Well, let's read it, fuck it. According to a faded sticker, the subscriber of the newspaper was a certain C.J. Jung. The Innsmouth Illustrated actually offers a lot of entertaining articles. All of these features and listicles give the impression that at the end of this trip you'll find yourself an adorable up-and-coming tourist metropolis, a real insider tip. I sense some bullshit. You decide to read every damn article in this paper. Preparation is everything, and you know that apart from that, you're bored to death. You find out that Innsmouth has a boardwalk and that even a beach bar was open last year. Finally, you discover the crossword puzzle, which turns out to be quite difficult. Quite a lot of fish-related terms. See you later, what? Yep, you've got that one. But you get stuck on making pastries spelled with H or toll road. That's too difficult for you at the moment, and you throw the newspaper in the corner. Finally, your eyes close. The rest of the ride, you sleep peacefully. The bus leaves the country road and turns off at a wooden sign that says Innsmouth in red flaky letters. The journey continues rather bumpily along a narrow dirt road littered with numerous potholes. In the distance, some houses are already visible, seagulls circling the roofs at the outermost edge of the city. Slowly, all passengers take their bags out from under the seats and get ready. We'll look through the side window. That's odd. The bus passes by a huge, a scrapyard parking lot? Why would something like this be here right outside the city? You pass another wooden sign whose half-peeled writing advertises the Innsmouth Park and Ride area. A lot of cars look like they've been sitting here for years. Sand covers some of the bonnets and windscreens. The front door of the bus opens with a squeak, and you join the monotonous line of locals stepping out of the bus as if in a daze. Almost walking in step, you all get close to the exit. As you walk down the steps, you have to protect your eyes from the sunlight. Turns out the windows of the bus were tinted. The other passengers shuffle off. Finally, Innsmouth. You examine your surroundings while you stretch your legs, trying to unwind from the stressful journey. No artist could have adequately captured the serenity and beauty of this place. A clear blue sky lights up the town square, which is paved with bright limestone and surrounded by neo-colonial buildings reminiscent of 19th century New England. A fresh sea breeze, carrying seagulls, and locals going about their business. In the center of the square, water trickles from a fountain. As you stretch your limbs and breathe in the clean air, you're suddenly startled by the water feature right in front of you. The fountain is an enormous fish-like brass creature. The open jaw, lined with shark-like fangs, spouts brackish water down its massive, inhumanly contorted body. As if that wasn't enough, there appear to be human bodies squirming underneath its massive claws. Their faces are contorted as yours is right now. How long have you been standing here? Days. Eyes wide open in shock, you feel utterly paralyzed. You start to scan the town square and notice more and more disturbing details. On every corner, you spot ornamental statues and reliefs of fish. But these are not your classic harmless kind of fish. These are pagan symbols and grimaces of supernatural creatures from the darkest crevices of the deep sea. In surrounding houses, you can see faces pressed against the windows. All the locals appear to be watching you. You suddenly start to think that the cries of the seagulls around sound particularly human-like. They sound like humans crying out in pain. What happened to the idyllic scene from a few minutes ago? Welcome to Innsmouth. Let's see who's yelling at me. How nice of you to visit. A small elderly woman waves at you from afar. She beams at you as if you were her long-lost grandchild. She seems very different to the boors you've just met so far on the bus into town. Her squealing shakes you out of your nightmarish panic. It's so good to have you here. I've noticed you've taken Barry to our local fountain. It was built in 1704 by Abdul Necrotis, favorite artist and friend of Charles Dexter Tillinghast, the founder of Innsmouth. The central figure was present, and it was supposed to commemorate their travels together to Cairo. You can clearly see the Egyptian influences on Necrotis' work here and here. She points wildly in every direction. And here, but I'm sure you've already noticed this yourself. You look like someone who knows his way around art, she says with a wide smile. You're still in shock. Who the hell are you? Oh, have I not introduced myself? I'm ever so sorry. In front of you now stands a small, plump person in a tasteless costume. Your rudeness doesn't seem to curb her enthusiasm in the slightest. My name is Muriel Pooping Place. I'm the director of the Parks Commission, chief tourism officer, and head of the welcoming committee. Ta-da! Behind Muriel, there's a ramshackle wooden information stand, lovingly decorated with balloons. A colorful painted sign reads "Welcome to Innsmouth." Muriel tiptoes over to her information stand and picks up a whole load of flyers and leaflets from the rickety display case. She looks down at that's fucked up, yeah. She looks down at all the paper in her arms, briefly shrieks with laughter. My goodness, why don't you take the city map to begin with? Useful. You take the map, put it in your pocket. Would you like to find out more about our wonderful coast town, which has been awarded the East Coast Stone and Town Award for several years in a row? Would you fuck no? The small purple woman starts giggling. Innsmouth welcomes you warmly. So you're not looking for someone? It's not a some common for two lonely hearts to find one another in this romantic place. I hate this. I hate this bitch. No, I don't want to love you. See, I'm looking for this girl. It's always been a girl, isn't it? Tabitha Marsh, 8 years old. Her mother asked me to take on the case. You take out the photo and Muriel immediately rips from her hand. Oh, what a cutie. I'm sorry to say I've not heard anything about missing girls. How awful. This sort of thing doesn't happen in Innsmouth. Perhaps you can look around at the beach or the playground. There are a lot of kids around here, but I'm sure that's where the little one would be. With an unnaturally wide grin, she hands you back the photo, turns around quickly, and makes her way over to the accosted other tourist family. You head further into the town along the cobbled road in the direction of the coast. Not long ago the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels thicker and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down, you lean your briefcase against the wall and start pacing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course the town hall. As a coastal town, Innsmouth also has a harbor. From your research, you found out this is a bustling area with a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. I doubt it. According to your research, the only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel, of course, is located in the old town. You think about checking in. You could do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that is still clinging to your clothes. Just as you're about to sit off, your heart leaps into your throat. You've forgotten your briefcase. This has never happened to you. You usually take good care of the little you possess. There's nothing you can do about this now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out whether someone has handed in it lost and found. So you can swear that the briefcase was already gone when you got off the bus. Go to the hotel first. You recognize the roof from afar, and after a long walk, it is now before you in full splendor, the Gilman Hotel. At least it's easy to see that it once must have been a gorgeous building. The hotel resembles an old English country estate, but in its present state, it would be suited as the setting for a very predictable film about teenager chainsaw killers. Wild and withered ivy has a firm grip on the walls and obscures the details of the richly decorated facade. A gallery of gargoyles melted into unreal shapes by acid rain and acidic pigeon droppings lines the roof. The many window panes have been neglected for years. Only in a few places has a small area been wiped clean in order to see outside. There are 2 cars in the parking lot, a vintage car with large rust spots and a large gray van. The kind of van you've always been warned about as a child. Inspect cars. You look around again just to make sure that the people who own the cars aren't hiding somewhere with their shotgun at the ready. The coast is clear. First you walk over to the antique car. Well, you're not a car expert, but the car looks antique to you anyway. Both seats inside are made of white leather. It's a bit tacky. You turn away from the antique car and look towards the van. No writing on the side, a regular registration plate, the windows in the front blacked out. Hang on, you have brainwave. Maybe this is the van in which poor Tabitha has been pulled when she was kidnapped, when she was lured to her awful fate by sweets and lollipops. Sounds like utter nonsense. All of a sudden you realize how absurd this theory sounds. Maybe you would actually solve this case if you did some real investigating and didn't just hang around parking lots. Stealthily you look around. After admiring the real car one last time, you walk back to the hotel. You really hope the inside of the hotel has been looked after a little better than the outside, but you're quickly disabused of that notion. The massive wooden door is difficult to open. Shouldn't the staff be doing this anyway? With a loud creaking sound from the hinges and an exhausted puffing and panting on your part, you manage to open the door and enter the lobby of the Gilman Hotel. Gilman or Gilman, I don't know how you want to say it, but you wonder if guests are even welcome in this place. The room is sparsely lit. There are impressive chandeliers hanging above the ceiling, which, if working, would perhaps not quite give the Grand Hall back its original splendor, but at least convey more warmth. Your first steps tell you that there are rotten floorboards hiding under the thick carpet. The green wall paneling and wallpaper are also rotten and musty. Sort of wet. Well, yeah, because they're fish people and we're not fish. Before you let yourself be distracted by the questionable interior design and the associated health issues, you walk purposefully toward the reception desk. A small greenish creature stands behind the counter. The loudly humming ceiling lamp above harshly illuminates his silhouette and gives his face hard edges. You can make out every individual speck of dust and dandruff in his dark green velvet collar and crooked shoulders. Velvet. Maybe they should be dimming the lights after all. The figure smiles at you, or perhaps it's more of a grin. His face settles to you. You lean forward at an angle to get a better look at him. The corners of his mouth reach all the way up to his dried ears. His smile looks like it's painted on. His beady eyes lie deep in the cavity of his skull and seem to stare into opposite directions. Has he even blinked yet? On top of all that, he smells funny. How may I help? You're startled and take a step back. I wish they would give me his voice. Welcome to the Gilman Hotel. My name is Cornelius Gilman III. How may I be of service to you? The man's gaze remains unchanged, and his unnatural smile still seems to be etched into his face. I'm surprised that he can talk with that expression on his face. Just a moment ago, you could have sworn he was an inanimate puppet. Just like now when he's not speaking. We're not gonna call him out. Be like, yeah. I would like to book a room. You begin to manage not to blurt out in a different hotel. Perfect. The Gilman Hotel is delighted to be able to welcome you as its guest. May I ask whether you're in Innsmouth for business or pleasure? How long will you be staying with us? Would you prefer a view towards the beach or the skyline or an exciting town? When would you like to be woken up? Do you sleep deeply? Are you traveling alone? Do you have a family? Who knows what you're here? Can I interest you in our spa, fitness, and wellness activities? Would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? Shut the fuck up. Box next to business. I guess a week. I'm not gonna try to seduce the random fucking fish man. As deeply as my feelings for you, no. No. Yes. Now. The concierge's expression did not change a tiny bit for the duration of your conversation, let alone did he blink. Thank you very much. That was all I need to know. Now all you need to do is sign here. He tilts his strangely shaped head over to the guest register. I understand that the game's supposed to try to be funny a little bit, but some of it's a little too stupid. Sadly, we're all booked up this season. There's only one spare room. Here's your key from 666, of course. Enjoy your stay. Look at the key, which has magically appeared on the counter. Then your eyes slowly wander past the man to the wall, where countless other keys are hanging. See our room. See how terrible it is. You look at a golden panel with the layout of the different rooms and floors. Room 666, there it is. 4th floor, left wing of the building. You walk up the stairs to the upper floors, but you can still feel the eyes of the concierge point at you. Panting, you finally reach your floor. An almost endless corridor spreads out in front of you. At the other end, you can see a figure who seems to be as lost as you are. Doesn't the building look much smaller from the outside? You walk down the corridor when you notice the figure approaching you. Your brain is mentally preparing itself for benign hotel small talk. But wait, it's you! You walk a bit farther and realize you're standing in front of a mirror. That's why the corridor looks so vast. The mirror marks a fork. According to the room numbers, your room should be further on the left. In the corridor towards the right, you can see a small yellow sign on the floor, maintenance. There's I like exploring hotels. After 2 more confusing turns and giant mirrors, you reach room 666. Finally, you're going to drop off your stuff and take a nap. Good plan. Of course, the door resists being open. You jerk the key back and forth on the lock until you hear a satisfying clicking sound. A soothing warmth hits you as you enter the room. Immediately, the synapses in your brain switch to energy saving mode. The trip to Innsmouth has probably taken more out of you than you had thought. You don't even notice the rest of the room. Say the bed makes you yearn for a little shot. I know, we're going to unpack first. That's right, you're supposed to be doing something else. The little girl needs to be found, and the reward for it seems to be paid into your bank account. It's only when you march into the closet that you realize you have nothing to unpack. After your briefcase mysteriously disappeared, all you have left is a very basic survival kit. A toothbrush and travel bottles of various care products that you'd stuffed into your coat pockets in a rush. You go into the bathroom, positioning your treasures around the sink. A handful of ice-cold water is enough to refresh you. Good thing you didn't go straight to bed. Who knows, you might have never woken up again. Now that you feel a little more refreshed, you leave the bathroom and survey your tiny kingdom. Your place is furnished only with the bare necessities. Your bed is flanked by a chest of drawers. At the window there is a desk with curved ornaments, and next to the bathroom door there's a huge, massive dark wardrobe that extends all the way up to the ceiling. The yellowing floral wallpaper is slowly detaching itself from the walls in some places, and on the wall you can see a range of paintings with elaborately decorated frames. Let's look at pictures. Since this room has not been equipped with a television, you're left with the art as your only entertainment. The first picture shows a ship in a choppy sea. The motif looks familiar but pretty. The impressive fight of the small ship against the huge forces of nature. Half hidden in the background, you can see a small spot of light. You have to squint and walk up closer to it to make it a lighthouse. Even some elements of a town are visible. Could this be Innsmouth? You turn to the next picture and immediately take an involuntary step back. You're looking at a grouchy, weather-beaten man, the embodiment of a sailor, complete with a captain's cap, a full gray beard, and a thick black coat collar. The painter of this work opted for a frontal perspective rather than a more advantageous side angle. His head slightly raised, the man's piercing gaze seems to be fixed on something in the far distance. A small spark of light drowns in his sinister eyes. Odd choice for the hotel room decor. The third and last picture hangs on the adjacent wall, an idyllic view of the beach on a quiet day. A pair of lovers with their backs turned to the viewer. He is wearing a white shirt, she is wearing a yellow dress. The two of them are in an embrace on the sand dune and look towards the horizon. The image fills you with a profound sense of calm. After a day out and about investigating, you have no desire to return to this stuffy room tonight. At least open a window to let some fresh air into the room. The window lock is an unnecessarily complicated crank that you turn around aimlessly for a while until you understand how the mechanism works. You are now reasonably refreshed again to face the town. Armed only with your wallet, your mobile phone, and the photo of a little girl, you step out into the corridor and lock the room door. You turn right at the first fork, then left again, right? Anxious to get out, you suddenly find yourself at a dead end. After trying a few other left-right combinations, you finally find the golden sign on the wall, which shows you the way to the stairs. As you walk down the circling stairs, you look at the reception on the first floor. The airy, almost mechanical smile of the concierge greets you. It's as if he has nothing better to do than watch your every move. I don't think he does. Straight to the exit. Discussing the details of your accommodation seems like a waste of time to you. With quick steps, you hurry out of the building, but you can still feel the eyes of the concierge on you. Time to go and look for Tabitha. Town center first, I reckon. Innsmouth Town Square, the beating heart of the city, a big attraction for local tourism. It is animated by groups of visitors who are chatting away in the sun. A lot less animated are the lethargic locals who are lurching about the square. A rather creepy-looking fountain is in the middle of the square. A gigantic fish-like stone statue, its claws towards the sky with water flowing out of its menacing jaw. The water sprays into the air, providing a refreshing breeze to the tourists sitting around the edge of the fountain. Looking at it closely now, it all looks rather like a giant, drooling fish monster. The square is surrounded by handsome old buildings, although this side of the street reveals the true Innsmouth. Crumbling facades, just far enough away that the average tourist doesn't notice them immediately. You also notice the mean grimaces of gargoyles sternly looking down onto the visitors from the corners of their buildings. You make a mental note to block out the Innsmouth architecture in future. At first glance, you can see the town hall and a police station behind the fountain. There should be a few more public facilities nearby, but you don't notice anything right away. Let's check the fountain. Pretty relaxed vibe here, so you decide to go over to the tourists. There's lots of space on the edge of the fountain, which people use to sit down. They're stretching their legs, eating their packed lunches, or studying maps of the town. Perfect place to let go and relax. Sit close to them, let's listen. Finally, some normal people. Compared to the gray, sometimes even sinister-looking residents, this isolated tourist group stands out like a beacon of light in the darkness. Some of the Innsmouth residents shamble around the middle of the square. Some lurk indecisively in the shadow of the narrow alleys. Again and again, they cast stealthy glances at the tourists and at you. Try to take shelter from the ominous glances. You rush over to the lively tourists. You sit yourself down next to a family who has animated chat and are taking lots of pictures. They're eating their lunch from Tupperware and unwrapped snacks from aluminum foil. At once you feel a little more secure. The family is spread out around the fountain. The young son in the nerdy t-shirt is wedged wearingly tight between mother and father at the edge of the basin. The daughter is probably going through some critical phase of puberty. She sits visibly discontent on the brick floor, as if nobody in the history of mankind has ever suffered as much as she is right now, this very moment. I want to talk to these fuckers. If you didn't know better, you think the family was trapped in some sort of time loop. The parents keep eating food, the kids complain and are then mollified. Over and over again. By coincidence, you look towards one of the dark alleys. You notice a pale man whose stature reminds you of a chameleon rather than a human. From his hiding place, he looks directly at the family. Cold sweat has started forming on your forehead. You don't move so as not to attract any attention. While the family is still discussing their plans for the day, the scary man in the shadow has his pop eyes trained on them. You watch him for about 5 or 6 minutes. Maybe your concentration isn't the best today, or you've watched too many bad movies, but you can swear that the guy hasn't blinked at all during this entire time. Then it happens. The figure turns away from the square. Follow. You walk around the fountain as inconspicuously as possible and peer into the alleyway. The pale figure had vanished into. There are trash cans arranged in a helter-skelter way, as if this was some sort of obstacle course. Looks like you're too late. No one in sight. Oh well, you really should have liked to ask this guy a few questions. Stench from the trash cans drives you back onto the square. Looks like the surroundings more, I guess. Town center is dilapidated and seems to be completely dead. None of the footpaths are maintained and weeds have worked their way into every crevice. You notice carelessly dumped fast food packages, beer bottles, and other trash. Some of the narrow side streets between the houses are so cramped with the bulky trash that you wouldn't be able to walk among them. Many of the houses are in a poor state of repair. Cracked windows, loose wood boards hanging off the walls, and doors nailed shut. It's possible to tell in which color the houses were originally painted. You are struck in a bad stench several times, the cause of which you would rather not investigate. As you keep walking, you get to a kind of shopping street with a number of small shops. Half of them seem to be abandoned. The first shop on the corner is a snack bar. Its name, Joe's Pizza and Burger, is printed in big letters on individual sheets of paper. Right next to it, there's a shop for fishing gear, then a hairdresser, and a few orders down. In that shop window, you can see faded photos of the trendiest haircuts in the 1970s had to offer. Behind the hairdresser, you can make out a kiosk selling sweets and magazines, and also a liquor store wedged in between 2 empty buildings. Opposite, you find a shop whose name seems to be Zahn. Judging by the window, it's a music store. On the other end of the street, there is a building with the inscription Arkham Acad's. Letters are made from neon tubes, but some appear to have been burnt out and have never been replaced. Maybe some of the shopkeepers will be able to tell you more about your clients. Oh, arcades. Okay. When you're in the snack bar, you're struck by the unappetizing smell of fat. Behind the counter is a grunt teenager who looks like he's bored out of his mind. A name tag identifies him as Chud. Chud is wearing a stained white apron, splash of fat and other substances. His face is haunted by the most gruesome acne you've ever seen. He turns to you and stares at a spot somewhere on the wall behind you. After a few moments of annoyed silence, Chud asks, "What do you want to order?" The menu is pathetic. Only pizza margarita, pizza with seafood, fish burger, cheeseburger, and medium freedom fries are on offer. There's only lemonade to drink. You attach a note that informs you that you can now also order vegetarian burger and vegetarian cheeseburger. All fuck up spelling. Chud's gaze changes from bored to annoyed. You order a cheeseburger with french fries and lemonade. They're called freedom fries now, Chud tells you. We no longer call them french fries, because the French didn't want to go to war when the terrorists bombed the World Trade Center. He turns to the grill and starts processing your order. Man, I wish I could join the army and shoot with a gun. Really, we've won, haven't we? Must be otherwise. We would all be speaking foreign. I must have missed that. It's good that we showed these guys that we don't let them get away with doing stuff they wanted to do to us and stuff. I hate this fucking guy. But Dad says I shouldn't worry about the army and stuff. Dad says it's none of our business over here. Fucking promoting stuff. Okay. $4. He serves you a can of soda and your food. On it is the saddest burger you've ever seen. Just a slump of mystery meat and a layer of sliced cheese. No sauce, no salad, nothing. Against your better judgment, you need to eat. First, the fries. You hadn't thought it was possible to make disgusting fries. Now you know better. They just taste of fat and salt. After only a short time in the fryer, they are still completely cold and sort of floppy. In your mouth, they feel like white yellow maggots squirming in your tongue. Skeptically, you bite into the burger. It's a fish patty. After 2 bites, you put the burger aside. You try to flush down the taste with lemonade, but the drink is warm and stale. You decide to take away the rest of your food for later consumption. Or maybe the toxicology department will want to know what details about what exactly it was that made about what exactly it was that made you visit the emergency room that day. God, I hate this. Do school kids ever come by here? That's a really strange question. Do you know this girl? You're holding up a photo of Tabitha up to Judge. She's gone missing. I'm looking for her. Looks at the picture with indifference. I already told you. Chud, why do you want to join the army? Chud looks a little surprised. It would appear that he's not used to people responding to his mutterings. Well, because the terrorists attacked us and so on. You've got to do something. But they didn't attack this place, did they? They attacked New York. So what? If we don't fight back now, they'll do everything. Then everyone will think they can just do whatever they want to us. Next, the Russians and the French, and appears to wreck his brain about what other countries exist. You're absolutely right. You have to do something. You pull the photo out again. Chud, this is no different. A little girl has disappeared, and she certainly won't be the last if we don't intervene. Can you help me? Let's see. Maybe they know her in the arcades. That's where the kids are mostly these days. He describes the short route, and it turns out that the arcade is just around the corner. You don't know what pleases you more, the prospect of making progress with your case or the promise of popcorn and video slot machines. You leave Joe's Pizza and Burger. Your stomach signals to you that your actions will have consequences. Well, you know what? As much as I've enjoyed reading, and I don't think I'm not feeling it at all, so I'm just gonna stop here. And yeah, you know, I love HP Lovecraft, I love stuff, but this doesn't hit that itch. I don't mind choose your own adventure stuff. I don't mind reading, but it's just not entertaining. I can't. Yeah, and the humor just isn't there at parts. It just doesn't fit well. But whatever, GG's. I guess play yourself if you want to. I'm probably done with it.